This video is going to go over how to use Let's Encrypt SSL certificates on an Amazon Linux instance. Why am I going to use Let's Encrypt? Well, it's free, and free is always better than paying. My certificate was going to expire, so I went to renew it, and they wanted $70 or $209 for 3 years, and I was like, I didn't really want to pay that. I've known about Let's Encrypt for a while, but I initially didn't really want to use it. And one of the reasons I didn't want to use it was because they only issue certificates for 90 days. So you almost definitely need to do some sort of automated way to renew it. And I just didn't really feel like messing with that at the time. But my certificate expired from GoDaddy, and it became time to either do something new or pay money. And I didn't really want to pay money, right? $70 for something when I get something for free. Free is always better. So I went to the Let's Encrypt website and looked around. I clicked on Get Started. It's like, oh, hey, you need to do some stuff. So I have shell access. Shell access means you can like SSH into your system and do things. Certbot is what they recommend. So I went to the Certbot site and it said, hey, Certbot, pick what we're using. So I picked nginx because that's the web server I'm using. I picked CentOS 6 because I think that's closest to the Amazon instance. I'm not 100% sure of that, but here are the instructions for that. I did these things, and I tried to do this. So I did certbot, nginx. I wanted to get cert only. If you don't do cert only, it also tries to update your config files. I was going to update my config files manually. I just wanted to get certificate. I hit enter, and I got an error. I searched around for a while and saw some things to try. Unfortunately, I was unable to get past this error, so I quit for the day because that's what I do. Like, forget you, certbot. I'm going to go take a nap and I'll come back later. So I came back later and I went to look at some other of these optional things. And I'm really a Linux command line guy, so this first one under bash, GetSSL, seemed like a good next one to try. So basically, this is just a shell script that runs on your system. You download it, change the permissions, and then you run it. So it's a like I said, it's a shell script. If you are super interested, you can read through it and see what it's doing. It's just basic shell stuff, so it's cool. I looked at it a little bit, and then basically you want to run it /getSSL. You need to be root probably to run this stuff. You can use sudo. I just pretty much become root all the time, so that's what I do. And what you need to do is, first thing we need to do is create default config files, and you do that for your domain name. Let's go see if I can find the documentation. Yeah, so once you're started, we want to get SSL-C your domain name. I have a second domain name running on my server that I never actually got a certificate for because I didn't want to pay extra money for it. It wasn't using SSL before because it was just informational, but I switched it to SSL just so now that I can get a free certificate, there's no reason not to. Plus, I'm going to put a contact form on there where people can email me through the site. So that I probably want that to be encrypted. So I'm going to do this command, right? So that would be /getSSL. Oh, that's the wrong terminal window. Good job. /getSSL, and then -c for create, and then the domain name. So that created a couple of files. I created a file. I already had a different file. So there is two files you need to worry about when you're setting this up. It gets put in a .getSSL directory in your home directory. The first one is the getSSL.cfg file, config file, and this contains a bunch of default settings, so you can change those settings to match what you need. I think the only thing I changed in here was the email address, right? So then the other file is the specific file for that domain. So this is the config file for this specific domain name, and there's some things, I don't want to edit that, and there's some things you need to change in there. So first off, there is a testing CA and a official CA. I guess we'll start off with the testing CA, right? And then we have subject alternate names. We want this to match whatever your domain name is. You want to put in here whatever people might be coming to your domain name as, right? And this is a tricky part. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't read documentation because I don't read documentation most of the time until I can't get things to work. So what this needs to be an Acme Challenge location. So with certificate authorities, they need to verify that you are who you say you are. So I can't essentially go out and say, hey, guess what? I'm Amazon.com. Give me an SSL certificate for Amazon.com and have a certificate authority just do that, right? They need to verify that I own the domain. So what they do is they try to connect back to my server to verify that I am the owner of the server. And the way they do that is they put some content in your web root directory somewhere, and then they access it, and then they make sure you are who you say you are. So this needs to be the location where your web files are, right? So mine happen to be in this location, DNS, right? I need to put the closing parentheses because I'm not uncommenting these other lines. These other lines are different ways it can SSH or do other things to verify what you're doing. The other thing that threw me off was I did not change this to true. So basically I'm just doing a single check. I wanted to check the web and only the web. So I need to change this to true. So now it's going to do this one check and be happy with that. And now this is where you want it to put the certificates. I want my certificates to be in Etsy, PKI, TLS, and I created a directory called Let's Encrypt just to keep all my Let's Encrypt certificates in the same place. So I want that. Same thing for the key. Let's Encrypt key, and my web server is nginx, so it likes to have the chained certificate. So I need to put I'm going to put a chain certificate so that it will automatically get that for me. So I'm going to call that chained. All right, and that's all I'm going to do for now. That's all I'm going to do for now in the config file. All right, now I need to go, if we go to my web server in question, currently it says not secured. Currently, if we look at the certificate it's using, currently, it's expired. It's for a different domain. So there's lots of problems with that. So we're going to go change my configuration files to point to the different certificate. But then I'm not going to be able to restart search. So we're not going to do that yet. First, we're going to try to get the certificate and see what happens. If I can find the there we go, get. All right, so then we run GetSSL yourdomain.com. So now I'm going to do that and hope for the best. And it might fail, but that's cool because failing is a good way to learn. Security.com. All right, so it doesn't like that I have that in my subject alternate names, so I'll go take that out and just have dev null security in there. All right, it doesn't like that either, so we'll comment that out and see what happens. Oh, I took the wrong one out. Let's edit that again. Let's put www back in there. All right, so it's generating the key and it's doing the challenge and it's trying to check the challenge. And it verified who I said I am. It's trying to challenge again for some reason. And it's pending and it verified it. So, let's see. So that worked. So if we go over and look in Etsy PKI TLS Let's Encrypt, we see that I have these certificates that I just got from the testing certificate authority. So now I'm going to go change my config for my web server for that domain. And this is for nginx, so you should know where your nginx config files and stuff are. So I'm going to change these two lines to point to those new certificates. That's not what I wanted. That's not where I want to paste it. There we go. I'll comment out the old ones. And now I'll change these guys to be the right thing. And that's going to be PKI TLS Let's Encrypt dev null security.com. And then we'll do the same thing down here. I'll probably copy and paste this one so it's faster. All right, so hopefully that matches my certificates. So now in theory, devnullsecurity.com, yeah. So now in theory, if I reload my web server and it failed because I probably typed the wrong name of something. Let's Encrypt. You guys probably saw that when I was typing it, didn't you? It's pretty nice of you not to tell me. Let's Encrypt. Huh. I did it twice. Let's Encrypt. All right, so now I reloaded the web server, and hopefully it will be using that new certificate that's not trusted. So it still won't be done good yet because we need to use the other authority. Hey, invalid certificate authority, advanced. We'll go ahead and go because we know we're screwing around with that. We'll go look at our certificate. So now I have my fake Let's Encrypt certificate, so I know everything's working properly. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to tell it to use the legit certificate authority. So I'm going to get rid of this fake one, tell it to use the legit one, and now I'll run this command again, and it's hopefully going to overwrite those certificates. All right, so I got the keys. So now, hopefully, if I reload, I will have a legit trusted certificate. Oh, hey, that's not true. I need to reload the web server. Every time you make a change, you need to reload the web server or restart it. So now, hopefully, it still says it's not trusted. You know, let's try this again. Try this again in a different browser window. Sometimes it caches things and doesn't try. So there we go. So I just hit reload, and it's like, I'm not reloading, dummy, because I just got this page a minute ago. It didn't change. But whatever, for whatever reason, I opened it in a new browser window, and it actually has the correct certificates. If we go look at the cert now, it's signed, it's the right domain name, it's signed, it's valid. So that's how you can use it to get your SSL certificates for free. Problem, like I said, they're only good for 90 days. So either you need to put something on your calendar to go manually renew them every 90 days, or you can put something in to automate the process. I created a cron job to do it for my other cert, so I'll just go ahead and copy this cron job I created. Basically, it tells it to run I'll change it to be a different hour. So I run it twice a day, right? And it tells it to run that script and then get the, you need to put the domain name. And then I have it mail me a message about it. So now, twice a day, my server will automatically try to check my certificate. A couple things about the certificates, if you get them this way, if you try to renew it before the grace period, it's going to say, hey, it's valid for more than 30 days, and it will refuse to renew it. What you can do is you can force it to renew with -F. I think it's -F. We'll run it without anything and see what it is. Yeah, -F to force it. So we can do -F to force it. So now it's going to renew even though it's been less than 90 days. So another thing about this, we'll do this a couple times just to show you something else that you need to be aware of. Another thing about this, if you look at your certificate, if we look at the certificate, it says it was generated at 7:50 a.m., right? If we look at the time on my server, which should be synced and pretty accurate, it says it's 7:52. So this isn't the cert I just got. This is still my old cert, right? So what we need to do is we need to reload the web server software, right? Which we did a few times already. So we need to reload that. And now if we look at the page, I'm going to open a new window. Now if we look at the page and look at the certificate, it is still the old one. Weird. Sometimes the browsers like to think more than they should. Let's try a different browser and see what happens, because that should be the new cert at this point. Oh, Firefox doesn't want to tell me the time. So if you click on details and look at the time, see this says 8:52. So Firefox is properly showing me the new certificate after I reloaded it. Chrome, for whatever reason, has still cached it and refused to check. There's probably some way I could force that by hitting like Shift Enter or some nonsense, but I don't really care about that. So basically, the point of that is after you get the new certificate, you need to reload the web server. And if you're going to do it in an automated fashion, then you can go in your config, and down here at the end there's a command to reload. So you can put your command in here to reload it. The command I use is service, but we want to put the full path of that just in case. So sbin service, sbin service nginx reload. So this will cause it to, that's an error, that wouldn't work at all. This is going to cause it to actually reload the web server after it gets the new certificate. So if we try this again, force it, hopefully it's going to actually reload the web server and we'll get the new certificate and we'll be able to see the new certificate. So it says it reloaded nginx. So now in theory, if I go and look at my certificate again, you know, hopefully it'll show us a new certificate. The old one had 7:52, so hopefully this one will show us 8:55. Did it say 7:50? It's not 7. I don't know. Either way, this shows a new certificate. So if you're going to have this work in an automated fashion, then you need to put that in the bottom. So just to review things we changed in this sample file, we used the testing CA to start with, then we changed it to the real CA. We put a www for the subject alternative name, so that we have the regular domain name in the certificate, and then we have a subject alternate name for www. We changed the ACL location to be the first part of it to be our document root of where we put our web files, so that the CA could authenticate who we are. We changed use single ACL to true, and then we changed the locations of where our certificates live, and then we put a reload command in there so that we can reload the web server once it's done. Other than that, you had to change your config file for your web server to point to the new certificates, and you also, if you were smart, you want to create a cron job or something in order to automatically update your certificate. And it will try to update it every day without the -f. Without the -f, it's going to fail until it needs to be renewed, and then I'm assuming once it's within that 30-day window, it's going to renew the certificate. But I haven't got that far yet because I just did this the other day. So hopefully you found that helpful and you're able to get it working. I didn't get CertBot working. A lot of people said, oh, I did this and it worked, and I did that and it worked, but I never got it to work, so I moved on to the next thing. Apparently what I was reading was that it wasn't working with Amazon because of the way Amazon made some changes to the images when they do their Amazon stuff. But whatever the case may be, I got it working with GetSSL, and it seems to work pretty well so far.